The Nightly Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, Sri Lanka is set to launch an innovative super app to streamline GovPay services and enhance user experience. The IMF calls for the PUCSL to take great accountability for the CEB's financial management. The Colombo stock market dips as key indices close lower amid market uncertainty. And Wall Street ends higher following a brief slump amid confusion over Powell's remarks.
From Studio 24, here's Anuradhi Vikramasinghe.
A very good evening and thank you for joining us. Sri Lanka is set to launch a GovPay super app within 6 months, enabling citizens to access all government services and make digital payments through a single platform. The initiative aims to streamline service delivery, boost digital transactions and introduce secure digital identification.
The Information Communications Technology Authority plans to launch a government-pay super app within the next 6 months, offering citizens a single platform to access all government services. The app will allow users to store and use digital identification, licenses and certificates to seamlessly avail services without visiting government offices. Inspired by India's DigiLocker and digital public infrastructure, the app will also integrate secure digital payments. ICTA officials emphasize the importance of digital IDs, with data collection for the project expected to begin by February or March 2026. The app aims to boost monthly government pay transactions from 60 million to ₹100 million within a year. This initiative reflects a broader effort to digitize public services and enhance convenience for Sri Lankan citizens.
Sri Lanka's Inland Revenue Department will investigate allegations of lower pay-as-you-earn tax deductions for members of parliament following concerns raised by Media Minister Nalinda Jayatissa. Opposition MP Jagat Withana revealed payslips showing a gross salary of 322,713 rupees and 92 cents in May of 2025, but only 3,728 rupees and 53 cents was deducted as tax, far below what ordinary citizens would pay on a similar income. Tax experts know that someone earning the same amount would typically pay over 24,300 rupees in taxes. Minister Jayatissa stated the IRD will look into the matter but was unclear on the current basis for MP tax deductions. Historically, discriminatory tax privileges and exemptions for parliamentarians and public servants have been a contentious issue in Sri Lanka, and increased tax enforcement on the general public has raised awareness about income tax fairness. International Monetary Fund documents show that Sri Lanka will change the governing law of the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka to make it more accountable for the finances of the Ceylon Electricity Board.
A memorandum on economic policies said Sri Lanka will improve the transparency of electricity tariff revisions and strengthen accountability of the regulator towards CEB's finances, while also adding that they will amend the PUCSL Act to mandate PUCSL to submit to Parliament quarterly reports on maintaining cost recovery electricity pricing and publish the reports. Sri Lanka defaulted and public debt bloated in part due to large losses made by the Ceylon Electricity Board and Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. A large part of the losses, however, came from the depreciation of the rupee due to anchor conflicts within the operating framework of the central bank. Sri Lanka's IMF program hit a roadblock earlier this year due to regulator-driven price cuts, which increased the risk of a sovereign default.
A debriefing session was held to outline next steps following President Anura Kumar Dissanayaka's successful business dialogue with German companies during his June visit. Co-chaired by BOI Chairman Arjuna Herath and AHK Sri Lanka Chief Delegate Martin Klose, the session highlighted efforts to strengthen economic ties between Sri Lanka and Germany. Key stakeholders, including the Sri Lankan ambassador to Germany and representatives from 15 German companies, discussed opportunities across sectors like healthcare, finance, renewable energy and tourism. Investors expressed interest in expanding operations but raised concerns about policy consistency, financial stability, transparent procurement and ease of doing business. A proposal was made to form a steering committee to ensure ongoing dialogue and cooperation between Sri Lankan authorities and German businesses. Both sides emphasized the importance of sustained collaboration to boost bilateral trade and investment. Let's take a short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. The Colombo Stock Exchange saw a slight downturn today, with both key indices closing lower. The ASPI dipped marginally, while the S&P/SL 20 recorded a sharper decline. For more on this, we speak with Dr. Roshan Fernando from Capital Trust Securities.
Yes, Anuradhi. If you look at the stock market performance today, the all-share price index dropped 8 points to end at 18,876. The S&P/SL 20 index also dropped 39 points to end at 5,628. The total market turnover was 6.2 billion. If we look at the top contributors for the day, Jetwin Symphony, Royal Palms Beach, Seagrave Village, Tangerine Beach and Browns Beach hotels were recorded. If you look at the top losers of the day, SMB Finance, Tess Agro, EML Consultants, Ceylon Printers, convenience food companies were recorded. How the S&P/SL 20 index moved throughout the day. If we look at in the morning time, there was a drop till about 10 o'clock. Even though thereafter, even the market recovered a bit, it ended up on a negative territory. If you look at the all-share price index as well, there was a drop around 10. Thereafter, even though the market increased, it ended up on a negative territory.
After sharp recent gains, the stock market saw a healthy pause today, closing nearly flat despite early volatility. Analysts view this consolidation as a positive sign, supported by low interest rates and strong investor sentiment. For more on this, we speak to Shahan Mendes from Capital Trust Securities.
Thank you, Anuradhi. As a major highlight for this week, the all-share price index surpassed the key milestone of 19,000 on both Tuesday and Wednesday in intraday trading. Further, on Wednesday, the market also recorded an outsized turnover of 17 billion, its seventh highest in the history, supported by the sale of 38.5 million shares in HNB non-voting by Brown's Investment PLC at 280 rupees a share. After yesterday's drop of 61 points, we saw the market closing more or less flat today with a marginal drop of 8 points. However, earlier in the day, it dropped around 160 points, but managed to recover majority of those losses. This type of a slowdown was much expected, especially after the sharp gain we experienced from last Friday onwards of about 1,000 points, which rose in just 3 market days.
Gold prices fell in Asian trade today amid some improvement in risk appetite after U.S. President Donald Trump downplayed fears that he will prematurely fire Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Broader metal prices were also subdued amid pressure from a stronger dollar, which steadied near a 3-week high following sticky inflation data for June. Platinum and silver also largely maintained their outperformance over gold. Spot gold fell 0.2% to $3,342.09 an ounce, while gold futures for September fell 0.3% to $3,348.40 an ounce. Among broader metal prices, spot platinum rose marginally to $1,424.55 an ounce. Spot silver also rose 0.2%. Benchmark copper futures for the London Metal Exchange were flat at $9,629.75 a ton, while U.S. COMEX copper futures rose slightly to $5,526 a pound. Oil prices edged up today on signs of easing trade tensions, stronger than expected economic data from the world's top oil consumers, and renewed risks in the Middle East. Brent crude futures were up 17 cents or around 0.3% to $68.67 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were up 31 cents or 0.5% at $66.69. Drone attacks on oil fields in Iraq's Kurdistan region have cut crude output by up to 150,000 barrels per day, causing multiple shutdowns. Meanwhile, U.S. President Trump's announcement of upcoming tariff notifications for smaller countries and optimism about trade deals with China and Europe helped ease investor concerns. China's strong economic data and a larger than expected U.S. oil inventory draw also supported oil prices. U.S. crude inventories dropped by 3.9 million barrels last week, indicating tighter supply and increased demand. The Sri Lankan rupee has depreciated further against the US dollar today compared to yesterday, and according to the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the buying rate of the US dollar has increased while the selling rate has also seen a rise. The Sri Lankan rupee has also depreciated further against a basket of foreign currencies, including Gulf currencies. With that, let's take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee is performing against other major global currencies today. Short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back. Commercial Bank of Ceylon has partnered with UNICEF to uplift preschool education in undeserved areas of Sri Lanka. Their latest effort includes refurbishing the Muthukumaran preschool in Monaragala.
Commercial Bank of Ceylon, in collaboration with UNICEF, has refurbished the Muthukumarana preschool in Madagama, Monaragala district to support early childhood education. This initiative is part of a UNICEF-led project aimed at providing quality preschool education to marginalized children in Sri Lanka. The bank's support included upgrading the school's infrastructure, supplying child-friendly furniture, and providing age-appropriate learning materials. The project also focuses on teacher training, raising awareness among parents, and strengthening stakeholder collaboration for long-term sustainability. Commercial Bank's participation aligns with its broader CSR efforts, which include IT lab donations, STEM classrooms, and digital learning initiatives like the Sipnena Education Portal.
Hutch Sri Lanka has partnered with lifestyle deal platform Slash to enhance its Cheer Points loyalty program. Starting July, Hutch customers can now access over 1,000 curated deals across dining, retail, wellness, travel and entertainment for free for 1 month. This exclusive benefit will run for a limited period of 3 months, adding value to the loyalty ecosystem. Slash aims to make lifestyle experiences more affordable, offering discounts on activities from fine dining to adventure sports. Hutch's general manager Kaushal Amarasekara emphasized the partnership's focus on providing meaningful everyday value to customers. The collaboration reflects Hutch's commitment to a lifestyle-centric loyalty program that connects users to a wide range of exciting offers. JAT Holdings PLC, in partnership with the Sri Lanka Central Federation of the Deaf, launched a pioneering technical training program to empower painters with hearing impairments. This initiative promotes inclusivity and provides formal, hands-on skill development in the paint and coating sector.
JAT Holdings PLC partnered with the Sri Lanka Central Federation of the Deaf to deliver a specialized training program for painters with hearing impairments. The program provided structured hands-on instruction in painting and wood coating techniques, addressing the lack of formal training in this community. 13 participants completed the course and received certificates at a ceremony. The event also included an open forum where participants shared their experiences and challenges in the industry. Key discussions focused on improving accessibility, safety, and opportunities for hearing-impaired workers. JAT Holdings aims to foster inclusivity and equity in Sri Lanka's paint and coating sector through such initiatives.
HNB PLC has partnered with Ideal Motors to offer affordable leasing solutions for Mahindra vehicles and power generators, targeting micro, small and medium enterprises across Sri Lanka. The agreement enables MSMEs to access Mahindra Bolero city pickups, Alpha Plus load carriers, Mahindra KUV AMT and Mahindra Powerall generators with flexible, attractive financing options. This initiative is aimed at enhancing operational efficiency, mobility and energy resilience for local entrepreneurs. HNB's Senior Vice President Kanchana Karnagama highlighted the bank's commitment to supporting economic empowerment through accessible financial services. Ideal Motors Director Nimisha Vellagama emphasized the partnership's role in broadening access to reliable commercial vehicles and backup power systems. Link Natural Products, a leader in Ayurvedic and herbal care, continues to drive sustainability through community-focused environmental initiatives across Sri Lanka. Their efforts include tree planting, indigenous plant cultivation, and empowering local farmers to preserve traditional medical knowledge.
Link Natural Products, a subsidiary of JAT Holdings, is deeply committed to sustainability through initiatives that empower local farmers and preserve indigenous medicinal plant knowledge. Around World Environment Day 2025, the company hosted tree planting ceremonies and partnered with the Sri Lanka Navy to cultivate 300 indigenous medicinal plants. They also collaborated with local authorities to plant over 500 trees in the Kalani River Valley, enhancing biodiversity and preventing erosion. Additionally, a perennial tree planting program was launched along the Nallanthiniya Muskelia roadside, planting 400 trees with support from the Mahavali Authority. Through these projects, the company demonstrates a strong commitment to environmental stewardship, community empowerment, and cultural preservation.
Let's take a short commercial break. Global business updates coming on the other side. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Asian stocks marked time ahead of earnings from heavyweight technology companies as market anxiety lingered over the uncertain tenure of Federal Reserve Chief Jerome Powell. Among Asian bourses, Japan's Nikkei 225 fell 0.3% while the Topix was flat. Trade data for June showed sustained weakness in the country's exports amid pressure from US tariffs on steel and automobiles. China's Shanghai Shenzhen CSI 300 and Shanghai Composite indexes inched higher, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng steadied after clocking strong tech-driven gains in the past two sessions. Markets were now waiting to see just when Nvidia Corporation will resume selling a key artificial intelligence chip in China after the company said in Washington intended to allow such a move. Singapore's Straits Times index rose 0.3% following substantially stronger than expected non-oil export data. GIFT Nifty 50 futures for India's Nifty 50 index were flat, and South Korea's Kospi fell 0.4%, pressured chiefly by losses in major chip-making stocks. Wall Street benchmarks closed modestly higher, with the Nasdaq Composite achieving its latest record finish despite a chaotic half hour when news reports suggested President Trump was set to fire Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell.
U.S. stocks ended higher on Wednesday, with the Dow gaining about 0.5%, the S&P 500 climbing roughly 0.33%, and the Nasdaq adding 0.25%, marking the fifth session in six that the technology-heavy index has posted a record close. Trump's denial revived equity markets as the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq were down roughly 1% earlier. Wednesday marked the second day of second quarter earnings results. Several big Wall Street banks reported stronger profits, which failed to ignite their stock prices. Bank of America and Morgan Stanley declined despite rising profits fueled by more trading activity due to market turbulence in the second quarter. On the flip side, shares of Johnson & Johnson, one of the S&P 500's best performers of the day, gained more than 6% after cutting its expectations for tariff-related costs this year in half and raising its full-year sales and profit forecast.
An $8 billion trial by Meta shareholders against Mark Zuckerberg and other current and former company leaders kicked off over claims they illegally harvested the data of Facebook users in violation of an agreement with the U.S. Federal Trade Commission.
An $8 billion trial by Meta Platforms shareholders against Mark Zuckerberg and other company leaders began Wednesday. They face claims that they illegally harvested the data of Facebook users in violation of a 2012 agreement with the U.S. Federal Trade Commission. The case began in 2018, following revelations that data from millions of Facebook users was accessed by Cambridge Analytica, a now defunct political consulting firm that worked for Donald Trump's successful U.S. presidential campaign in 2016. The FTC fined Facebook $5 billion in the wake of the Cambridge Analytica scandal, saying the company had violated a 2012 agreement with the FTC to protect user data. Shareholders want the defendants to reimburse Meta for the FTC fine and other legal costs. which the plaintiffs estimate total more than $8 billion. A lawyer for the defendants who have denied the allegations declined to comment. Zuckerberg is expected to testify along with former Chief Operating Officer Sheryl Sandberg, among others.
And that wraps up today's Nightly Business Report. We value your opinion as always, so please share your thoughts and feedback with us through email at feedback.ad24english@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. We'll see you again tomorrow with the latest updates across the business globe. And until then, I'm Anuradhi Vikramasinghe. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.